Oh man, I'm sorry about that. Okay, there we go. So I don't know if like the Facebook Live or the phone I'm using is not that strong, with kind of suck for streaming. So plus we just set up a new internet and kind of like a test run for doing all these devices and see like they all keep going. But anyways, of course if you're like Bucks fans and out there like that, that's all we're gonna talk about is like the Milwaukee Bucks. So there's a lot of news that's been coming on for the past few days, and oh, I cannot pronounce your name, so it's what 175. I'll just say that. So hey, what's going on? Um, but anyways, like I said, a lot of Bucks news and stuff like that. That was talked about for the past week. There's reports about this, there's reports about that. So mainly what we're gonna talk about, and we probably gonna watch a couple of videos that that we get to talk about on here. Kelly Walker 57. Hey, what's going on? User 28790628159. Hello. Tanya Simon. Welcome to the channel. So appreciate it. Let's see. I'm trying to think like where should we start off first? Of course everybody knows, about the Brook Lopez thing that we will get into that, talk about most likely they're not gonna re-sign Brook Lopez. They mainly just gonna let him go, and it's actually Urban Love 918. Hey, what's going on? But there's something I read from yesterday's paper uh earlier today, and I thought I just gotta talk about what was you explain everything about what the Bucks can do, what they can't do this off season and stuff like that. So because there's probably be some people that's probably a little bit confused with some people just okay, Bucks ain't got that much cap. They should get rid of Rounders and stuff like that. JS Justin Pepperson, hey, what's going on? JM Money, hey, what's going on? And hey, Dodo, always good to see you on the chat.
Nice and bigger than my belly. I covered them in runts because you know how I do.
Ooh, nice. That's cool. Hmm. Like I said about
Hopefully they're
yesterday, I
fully
knew she was
set.
going to appear, and this is Ivy. Like I knew she was going to appear at some point. Right. So not shocked. Yeah, that's true. Grandpa, grandpa. Okay, so um, anyways, y'all probably have to excuse me because I'm reading off of this paper of ooh, not trying to cover up the camera, so I apologize. Um, yeah. Oh, thank you about that. Taxman, hey, what's up? Um, I appreciate that, but that's actually my stepson's dog, and we do got two here, and if y'all listened to yesterday's show, that we did have to put one of them to sleep, which was Libby. Well, she was getting like up there in age, so and plus it's like she just couldn't do it no more. So
And she had a stroke.
yeah, stroke as well. So it was just time. But anyways, let's get what we're here to talk about. So it was an article on yesterday's paper with Bucks off-season salary cap, roster building options, and the draft. So some of this I was saying for like a about a bit ever since the Bucks got eliminated. They're gonna have like options to do something. Then you got there's people that's saying that they don't have any options. They should just rebuild. Mm, wait, that's like a cop out. So I'm glad they're working with the team and stuff like that. And so but I can't. I know the name is Jim, but I cannot. Oscar. Um, I try to pronounce it, but I just couldn't. So it mainly just reads like this. So the Milwaukee Bucks are about to enter a critical summer following the third consecutive season in which they lost in the first round of the playoffs and begin to try to add talent to the roster. The off season officially begins in the earnest of them with the NBA draft on June 25th and 26th. It's the second year the league will hold its draft over a 2 day period. Here's some key questions and dates for the off season. So we're gonna talk about that. I'll just say Dot. Hello, Dot. Um, yeah, there it is. Only just said just a dot. But anyway, this is the first question. So do the Bucks have a first round pick? And I think we all know the answer to this one. So most likely, no. The Bucks own, they owe New Orleans a pick, this season. So Elizabeth Tavera, hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. Um, oh my God, I'm sorry, guys. Seems like the signal with everything on is not working. So I'm gonna try to do this as quick as I can, and I don't know why the stream is off and unable to start streaming. So whoever was watching on WFSO 2, I apologize, but we can't, get this working, and so we're just gonna try to continue on and go from there. Um, sorry, of course, it's explained, since 2020 when the Bucks made those draft picks, well, trade those picks for like Drew Holiday, and Eric Bledsoe was at the point, part of that trade, and yeah, he still wasn't doing good. So as you see right now, he's not even in the league. So here's the thing, like the pick has been dealt with several times and is now owned by Brooklyn, which is the 19th pick. Horse Jr., hey, what's up? Um, let's see. The Bucks do have a second round pick, of course. That would be the 47 pick, which they did acquire from the Wizards in the Middleton Kyle Kuzma trade. So at least they do got, a second round pick. Maybe, something good can come out of that, because I think with some people like, underestimating that there'll be some good, second round picks out there. Could be, the beginning of the pack, the middle, or like at the end. So yeah, there are a lot of possibilities. Um, so this is the one I did mention also, and I'm going to tell you all about this. So one question was, can the Bucks buy a draft pick? So, and the answer is yes, they can. Um, although the Bucks owe this pick outright to New Orleans. Oh no, I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm sorry. So it said yes, the Bucks have cash to send out if they choose, but it will require a deal to acquire that pick to be on consummated when the new league year begins on July 6th. So they probably, I think they mean it like they can do it, but ain't gonna be official until then. Right? But I don't know how is that gonna work. Angus Gene Barnes, hey, what's up? Welcome to the channel. So yeah, they require deal. Okay, so they probably will, end up, find draft pick or whoever they get to. So most likely, they're going to pay somebody and pay a team in the second round just to take that pick. So it makes sense. And like I said, once again, I'm sorry for guys for blocking away. So they can like buy the draft pick at draft night and stuff like that, but it ain't gonna be official until the 6th of July. Oh yeah, crazy that. So another question just popped up. It says, do the Bucks have salary cap room? And Jim responded, said, no. Although the salary cap is expected to rise, 10% over last season, which is true. So it's going to be about 154.6 million of the salary cap. That's what it's going to be. But as you know, teams can go over that and pay they're being the luxury tax, and they can pay that if they want to. And but now you have since last year they did you have like aprons. So you have your Earth first apron and you have your second apron. So there's no way you should like go to the second apron because you ain't gonna be able to do much of anything with all the rules and stuff out there. So sorry. So thanks to the new television right deals the league signed, the Bucks not a cap room team. Giannis and Damian Lillard alone are taking up to 70% of the cap, with the team owning them a total of 108.2 million on their maximum deals. Of course, you still got Kyle Kuzma on 22 million. Tyler Smith, 1.9 million. So might as well just say two. AJ Green, Andre Jackson Jr., and Chris Livingston are on contracts, but those three contracts are not guaranteed. So it's like they can just cancel it at any moment if they want to. So AJ Green with 2.3 million, Andre Jackson Jr. with 2.2, and Chris Livingston with 2.2 as well. So I don't know. It's just like you see shades of what Chris Livingston can do, especially in the G League last season. And you see some flashes and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. And I'm hoping that Doc will actually will try to use more of Andre Jackson Jr. He had a little bit in the season, but he just hasn't done it in the playoffs because he could be the one that could have stopped on Tyrese Halliburton. And with some older coaches, they stick with their veterans. So just crazy. Okay, so more is currently player options for Bobby Portis Jr. With 13.4 million, Pat Connaughton with 9.4 million, and I made him mention this yesterday. So Brad Davis 319. Hey, what's going on? So Pat Connaughton is most likely going to accept his player option. That's the news that's going around. So I told y'all, I said this on somebody's YouTube channel, but I said like I'm neutral when it comes to Pat Connaughton because he did show him that he was a better player this past year because of looked like he got some of his like issues sorted out, and just glad that I'm glad he only staying for no one more season just in case you can't sign like another person like Torian Prince, let him go. Same thing, with Brook Lopez, let him go. And also, Kevin Porter Jr. has a 2.5 million player option as well, so will count towards the some people. It will count towards the team's cap. Um, Depending on which non-guaranteed deals and options are or not picked up, the Bucks can have up to 40 million to work with between the salary cap and the increased luxury tax, which is now this year went up to about 187.9 million. But they also will have like I think that they said 192 million when they end up hitting the first apron. JM Moore, hey, what's going on? Welcome back. I remember you from yesterday. So mainly they just saying that if they did not miss with those salaries and stuff like that, they would have 40 million to play with. But there's some other twists that's on here too. So we will explain that in a minute. Um, so yeah, 187.9 million when the team, the salary cap and the luxury tax, which I don't think the owners care about paying the luxury tax. So good for them. So the other thing that was said on here, what are the player option deadlines? So I did say this like last month about that too. So here's the thing. So and the reporter like said this too. So per salary checking. Oh, okay. There's a website you can go to. So sport the oh sorry www.sportstrack.com. Content option deadline is June 24th, which is the day before the draft. Which we already know that he's going to pick it up anyway, and there was news about it that he is going to pick it up. So not even surprised. The option deadline for Bobby Portis and Kevin Porter Jr. is June 29th, the day before free agency starts. So, yeah, that's crazy. So, let's see, because Wednesday, Thursday, the 25th, 26th, then you got 27, 28. Oh, that's okay. Okay, that's on the Sunday. So, Monday, the free agency is going to start. So, yeah, that's different. Um, I always know like free agency end up, they have it on a Friday. So Fred Jenks 431. Hey, what's up? Um, let's see. What can the Bucks do this offseason to change the roster? Um, this is what this reporter would just know. This is his answer, and you'll see if we agree and don't agree, so or don't agree. So, anyways, it says this is the most flexibility the Bucks have had in the offseason since 2020 to reshape the roster. By trading Chris Middleton in February, the team gave itself financial and trade options it may not have had otherwise by avoiding not just to plummet the second apron, which like I said, with the second apron they can't do much of anything. Like they can like match like contracts as they do a trade, but it's like they can at least do more. Like they say, they send more and they can take less, so they can do that on you'll probably get what I mean. So, anyways, he said by trading Chris Middleton, the team has gave itself financial and trade options it may not have had otherwise by avoiding just a punchy second apron, but also the first apron the Bucks have assets to. So, here's another thing too. So they really got to explain this because they also have like a 5.1 million biannual exception. So the Bucks do have that. Also, the 7.2 million trade exception, they have that. Um, and Matthew Pignett, hey, what's up? Um, and they also have, the 14.1 million non-tax level exception. So we'll explain all that in a bit, but let's first talk about the 5.1 million biannual exception that they have. So the example, the Bucks signed Brook Lopez in 2018. So that was shows with that that big run. Um, let's see, and also Bobby Porter Jr. in 2020 using the BAE, that's the biannual exception. So using this exception will hard cap the Bucks at the first April, not allowing them to exceed that dollar amount for the season. And the 7.2 million. So this is kind of like a example. This rule was created by trading Chris Middleton. So he also said like example. The Bucks had some flexibility in negotiation with a player in his team to bring them in on a sign and trade. although it complicated progress as it requires multiple parties to agree on a single deal. Okay, as I said, let's say Milwaukee and Charlotte agree to a deal to bring in restricted free agent point guard Trey Man to the Bucks. The Hornets could agree to sign Man to a multi-year deal that begins or below 7.2 million for this coming season. After that, the contract could extend if need be, as the Bucks will have more salary room in the years following. Which is kind of true. Um, um, okay. Sorry if I pronounce your name. I think it's Cy Trennis. Kumar. What's going on there? Couldn't read all of it, but so that's the thing with the 7.2 million. So they can do a sign and trade, but it could be that amount. So now there's the thing that could be used to sign either Gary Trent Jr. or Kevin Porter Jr. if he opts out. So this can be used to sign one player or broken up into sign multiple players. These sources have told the Journal Sentinel the Bucks will aim to sign multiple players with this exception. Using the exception would hard cap the Bucks at the first apron, not allowing them to exceed that dollar amount for the season. So there's another example. The Bucks split this exception up between DJ Augustine and Bryn Forbes in the 2020 offseason. Augustine's salary is about like 6.7 million at that time, and they did was then used the mid-season trade to acquire PJ Tucker. So yeah, and once again, guys, I apologize y'all watching the pre-recorded version. That I was blocking it. I was not trying to. And is there any way I can get back on there for WFSO 2? Okay. I'm going to try something right quick. Okay. Let's try the stream RL again. And okay, there we go. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. The people that was watching on WFSO 2, welcome back. Um, I apologize because, I think, the signal that we have with this, new internet is strong, but not like strong enough. So, and I think, it's finally, probably got his act together. So, anyway, we talk about the 5.1 million biennial exception, 7.2 million trade exception, and the 14.1 million non-tax level exception. Um, so now we're going. There's another thing that they add. Can trade either pick their 2031 or 2032 first round draft picks. The Bucks has not been shy about trading control of future draft picks, being outright or that attaching a swap option for stars like Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard, which they did. And people that's watching on Facebook, I apologize. I don't know why that connection is not strong. Just don't make any sense. But everything else is working just fine. So I really don't get it. So I apologize. Um, of course, y'all know when the free agency begins. Of course, on June 30th, that you can officially sign. Okay, teams can negotiate with free agents on June 30th, but none can officially sign until 11:01 a.m. on July 6th when the new league year begins. Which is like a normal thing that they always do this. Free agency would be such and such days, and probably like maybe 6 or 7 days later they can officially sign them. So yeah, that's what it is. And plus, like I said, free agency will be on a Monday, so that's kind of different. And I think that the July 6th thing. Let's see, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, that would be Sunday. They'll be able to, officially like sign, teams. So that would be like an official Sunday that they can sign whoever they get in free agency. So another question they had is like, how many free agents can the Bucks sign? And what the reporter responded with was, it depends on some scenarios. If Portis, Connaughton, and Porter all decline their player options, in the unlikely occurrence, the team will have about 15 million in the actual cap space, but the Bucks will have to fill out 8 roster spots with that money, along with other exemptions noted above, which talking about the trade exception, the biennial exception, and the 14.1 million. So yeah, there's that's what they mean. Um, let's see. Oh, I didn't know he on that. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Sly Stone died, and the song they were just playing, I didn't know that he was playing that. So he was part of the group, but I think he, yeah, like mainly like the lead singer. But anyway, so with the money above, with the other expectation of the above, they can use their BAE and their non-tax level exception to sign multiple players. Can the Bucks sign their own free agents? Yes, they can. Unlike the last couple of seasons where the team had some restrictions on retaining their veteran minimum signings, the Bucks can break up to this, the 14.1 million non-tax level exception. Um, which they can. Um, if they, they want to offer, that 14 million like non-level tax exemption, they can do that with Gary Trent Jr. They can resign him and maybe make like multiple years or something like that. They can probably can do that. Um, let's see. Oh, they said they're gonna offer the Gary Trent Jr., Kevin Porter Jr. if he opts out, Torian Prince a higher starting salary in 2025-2026 season. Sign them to a longer term deal. Yeah, they can do that too. Not many teams will have actual cap space to work with, so teams that may be competing with one another over portions of their various exceptions. It's important to note some teams may not use their available exceptions, and either they do not wish to be like hard capped, or they do not wish to venture into the luxury tax territory, which I said, the owners probably wouldn't even care. Yeah, Washington 41. Hey, what's going on? Um, let's see what else. Did I miss like anything? Okay, yeah. The Bucks also have bird rights on Brook Lopez, also Portis and Connaughton if they opt out, being they can exceed the cap to retain them. Which, like I said, like rumors out there right now, Portis is not gonna opt out. He's gonna opt in, and of course we know about Pat Connaughton most likely will opt in. So I guess it's all up to thinking what Kevin Porter Jr. is gonna do. But I think he'd probably be waiting to see what Giannis is gonna do. So that's what probably some people thinking. They're gonna see what Giannis gonna do and probably decide from there. So I think they're hoping that is soon. But there are like a whole bunch of reports that that Giannis did have a meeting with the Bucks and he's not going anywhere. So you can take that low report with a grain of salt. Well, salt, I should say. And I know ESPN did reported it, but sometimes maybe they jump the gun too fast. But who knows? So yeah, and I think they didn't mention this, but Jericho Sims is actually a restricted free agent, and they have bird rights on him due to the trade in the midseason. So I'm surprised you didn't mention that on there. So okay, another question they had: can the Bucks make any trades? Then yes, they can. And thanks to Middleton deal and I think they said, oh, they're in the Weiner. Okay, the Bucks can send out multiple players in return for just one. Last year they were restricted second apron at the time, which prevented them from making, doing that, players contract. You're in the second apron, you have to match contracts. So, and plus, it proved like a little bit tricky for, some players and, well, some teams, I should say, not some players, just some teams. So after the trade deadline move, which includes deal with Washington, New York, San Antonio, and the Los Angeles Clippers, the Bucks preserved space to satisfy the league minimum touch to point out cash in a two-team trade of 110,000. Okay. Can the Bucks get disabled player exception for Damian Lillard? We heard earlier, I think it was they was talking about it last week that they're going to decline it because wait a minute, Giannis has suffered an injury. So I know some of y'all that showed on the pre-recorded that y'all saw that. So I guess he escaped injury from when he was in Brazil. So don't know what's going on with that, but let's see. Anyways, the Bucks can ask for exception from the NBA, but the league sources familiar with the process told the Journal Sentinel that they do not expect the exception to be awarded if they ask for it. That is because the league's independent doctors will have to determine Lillard will be out until beyond June 15th, 2026, because Lillard did, undergo surgery for his torn left Achilles tendon on May 2nd, and it is typical considered a 12-month injury. So it's like he'll be out until you know if they make it to the playoffs, like until if they make it up to the second round, he'll probably be available for that. But then with technology and machines that people make today and all that, it's possible he could be returning sooner. It's just like some injuries, like you can actually work hard on it, and there's some miracles that some people return in like probably with this injury probably like about 6 months, so probably like 6 to 12 months, so that's possible. So if it's the 6 months and if Damian Lillard can do it, he probably will be back around January of next year for the Bucks. Chica Renee, hey, what's going on? Um, let's see. They say this. If the Bucks were to award the exception, they will only be allowed to sign a single player for the 14. Okay, it'll be 14.2 million for the non-tax level exception. Or they could use space to acquire a player via trade or claim a player off waivers, but it's not free money. Such a deal would still count against the team's luxury tax and apron total for the season. Okay, we get that. So, and they have, the final question about it, but I don't think, some of us probably already knew this, but there's probably be some people that didn't, which is how many head coaches are the Bucks paying? So, like I mentioned earlier, they already got done paying, Mike Budenholzer, off for, this past season, so they done with him. But, oh, excuse me, they are currently, got to pay Doc Rivers, the current coach, for 10 million for the next 2 seasons, this coming season and the next season after that. And Adrian Griffin, they paying him for this coming season and the season after that about like 4 million a season for the next 2 years. So for people, you didn't know, now you know what's going on with the situation of free agency and other stuff that the Bucks can do. So hopefully that clear everybody for knowing what's going on. Yeah, because like I said, and this was like out today that fans get a positive report on the future of Giannis Kubo, so it may seem like that he's most likely going to be staying. So we really don't know. They had that meeting yet, but some some sources said they did, and some sources said they didn't. So who knows? Ian Ian do Worko. Hey, what's going on? So yeah, but we can like pass this and there's probably a few videos that we're gonna watch just to talk about some people's ideas, and as y'all see this one, this is absolute robbery for the Bucks. So I don't get what they're saying, but I'm thinking just going in the positive life. We're gonna listen. We're gonna watch this video, and I think half of y'all can't even listen to it. So let me try to
turn my Bluetooth off and so everybody can, hear it. Which, was another move I didn't do it yesterday. So, we'll worry about, that later. So, we're going to watch this video from Bucks Digest and, see what they had to say when they talking about, like, this is absolute robbery for the Bucks. That's the title, and that's what we're going to see. So, I apologize for if you see the, the ads on here because I guess YouTube, got to make its money and
this is an absolute robbery for the Milwaukee Bucks. A brand new report has dropped revealing some wild information surrounding John Horst and his plans this offseason surrounding one particular player that has fans fired up. We're going to break down exactly who that is and discuss what this means going forward as the Bucks prepare for a huge offseason. But folks, before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable.
Ricardo Thomas.
Subscribers. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support over here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a step back today from the Giannis and the Antetokounmpo talks, which obviously we're expecting an update from Shams soon surrounding the meeting that did or didn't happen at this time of recording surrounding Giannis. And big updates are going to be coming in that regard. But I want to talk about a couple targets and one player in particular that reports are starting to circulate surrounding. And it is a very interesting one because all signs recently have pointed to Giannis Antetokounmpo staying in Milwaukee, and if that's the case, they're going to have to find steals on the market at the league minimum, the veteran minimum, to help fill out this team. It seems like they're going to get that done, and hopefully they can get that here. We see this article that dropped. Bucks could target familiar faces with Doc Rivers' connections in free agency. Familiarity is something the Bucks have already explored, always explored. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, like the pickup with Patrick Beverly was a good one, but it's just unfortunately, he kind of like ruined his career, and I think he asked for a little bit too much money, what he was worth. So. Yeah, that was just crazy enough. But I wonder who this player to talk about. Some of y'all probably didn't see it, but they showed like a picture of a player that was in Golden State Warriors uniform. So I'm trying to figure out who this person is. Zap Sharon, hello there. Welcome to the channel. Well, I'm going to say welcome to the page. Let's see.
Interesting because Doc Rivers, whether you like him as a coach or not, he does have a lot of connections, and there's times where he hurts the Bucks, both coaching and in the offseason when it comes to targets, but there's also times where he helps the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's seemingly here he has some familiar connections to some old faces. I want to focus in on DeAnthony Melton.
DeAnthony Melton? That's what you're talking about?
Player that not many people are talking about here. He's a former Sixer under Doc Rivers. DeAnthony Melton will be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. He started 58 games in the 2022-2023 season and was a key perimeter defender for Philadelphia, providing a defensive buffer alongside Harden and Maxey. Now,
6'3",
with DeAnthony Melton, he is an extremely key perimeter defender for Philadelphia.
Okay, I'm just gonna read this part. So 6'3" Melton is known for his on-ball defense and floor spacing. He owns a career 37% from the three. His career best of 41.2% from three in 2020-2021 season. Last season, he averaged 10.3 points, 2.8 assists, and 3.3 rebounds, and 1.2 steals in 20 minutes per game before spraining his ACL during that campaign, which is probably said that he had to be with the Warriors or something.
Philadelphia, providing a defensive buffer alongside Harden and Maxey. Now, if you're unfamiliar with DeAnthony Melton, he is an extremely, extremely good player. And you look at what this Bucks team needs, and we'll dive into.
Yeah, this is like the sign of just say like they did re-sign everybody and how the season is going to start. This is before they got their draft picks and before whoever they going after free agency. Let's just say they end up keeping everybody and make space for whoever for their draft picks or whatever the case may be. So they got the starters: Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they got for center Bobby Portis. Like, yeah, they can use this lineup if they want to, but I don't know. Just part of me, just like nothing against Bobby Portis, and I like that run that they did in Game 5, which nearly worked until the turnover happened, and how it ended from there. Um, so of course they said Jericho Sims, keep him always as a backup center. Um, we're just gonna cross off Brook Lopez right here because like I said, most likely he's not coming back. The Bucks is not going to resign him. They're not going to waste the money that they could give to him and be like maybe almost to the second apron if they give Brook Lopez like a big contract because they're saying like he's due for $36 million this coming season if the Bucks end up re-signing him or whatnot. So Lopez ain't coming back. Torian Prince, like I said, in the beginning of the season, the middle of the season, he was great. But it was like towards the end of the season in playoffs, he didn't show up. And especially at times, they try to put him as shooting guard for defensive purposes. But, yeah, that did not work at all. So, I'm just expecting that Brook and Torian Prince is going to be gone. And that'd be cool, keep Ryan Rollins from the backup point guard and AJ Green for backup shooting guard, or maybe they can use right here maybe either Chris Limberstein or Andre Jackson Jr. If they decide do it like Bobby Portis from the bench or something like that, they can play it out there until they switch up. Then or you can use whoever's you get from the draft if it's a center or a guard. So I don't know. The Bucks can do some things, so it's not like over and out for them, this off season. So we explained that there's stuff that they can do, but they really got to keep Jericho Sims because, of course, he was quicker than also good blocker and rebounder than Lopez, but like, because I know Doc will use Jericho Sims as the backup. They just need that starting center. So either it's Bobby Portis or whoever they get in free agency, or if they get somebody from the draft, I guess right now it'll just be that wait and see.
Into the depth chart here in a minute. The Bucks desperately need somebody like DeAnthony Melton. I was looking to his stats right now. Last season, he only played 6 games. He was a signing by the Warriors, and if you think back here, if you're following the Warriors at all back then, last season, he was really good in his 6 games, put up 10 points. But looking at his previous years, even dating back to his years with Doc Rivers, 11 points a game, 10 points a game, 10 points a game, 4 straight seasons averaging 10 or more points a game.
Oh, the guy is kind of young too, so he's going to be 26, 27 this year.
Injury troubles. And some people think that he's like 30, 32 years old, 35 years old. He is 26 entering his age 27 season. He is an extremely valuable player. Very good defender, very good three-point shooter. And it's very interesting. He's 6'3". He's known for his on-ball defense and floor spacing. He owns a career 37% mark from beyond the arc. And last season, in
hey, what's
very
up?
limited games, he still averaged 10 points a game.
That's a cool name.
And at the time that he
Welcome
went down,
to
many Warriors fans were
channel.
kind of devastated because he was supposed to be, and he was going to be that role player or even starter.
Well, the
he started
TikTok
2 games
page,
out of 6
so I should say that.
Going
So
forward, especially with kind of the turnover that the Warriors are having. He is a very under-the-radar player, and it would be a robbery because reports have started to come out that he's looking for the veteran minimum, or at least that's what he would be getting because of his injuries. Injuries have been a concern. He's only played 44 games in the last 2 years.
Okay, injuries have been a concern. Melton has played just 44 games over the last 2 seasons, but if healthy, he could help patch Milwaukee's perimeter defense and contribute as a spot starter or key reserve. He made roughly like $13 million last season and could come cheaper given his recent injury history.
But if healthy, he can patch Milwaukee's perimeter defense and contribute as a spot starter or key reserve. He made roughly $13 million last season and could come cheaper given his recent injury history. Folks, he's not going to get $13 million this offseason. He's probably going to get the league minimum, maybe a little bit more. Probably similar to a Gary Trent Jr. contract. But
kind of
He
like to
is
prove
a
himself
3 and
if
D
they, you know, do
shooter.
that.
It's as simple as that. He's a very, very solid defender. You can see in his past few years averaging over 1.5 steals a game. He's known for his on-ball defense, and he's a career 37% three-point shooter, which is above league average. And he just puts he also has some, penetration, ability, some playmaking ability. He's just a very good guard to have on a team where, if you want to win. And you look at the depth chart they have right now, and Gary Trent Jr. was on the one-year deal. Who knows if he returns? Of course, this depth chart is based off of, presumptions there. Let's assume Kevin Porter Jr. returns their starting point guard for whatever reason, right? Then you put in DeAnthony Melton as the 3, Kuzma as the 4, Giannis the 5, and then Giannis the 4, and then Bobby Portis the 5, or Brook Lopez if he returns. It's not a horrible team. Now, I don't think they're a championship contender. They still need a bunch of work. But if you're going to go...
Yeah, we get they need a bunch of work, but, maybe... This is why I always said, including, like, this past season, they're like a center and a coach away from, being great. Not saying, they're bad. They was good, but, them constantly losing in the first round... something really gotta change. It really does. But like I said, they're a center and a, might as well say, point guard. But I think they'll be okay if they, keep Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins, because Ryan Rollins you can sign for like, a minimum and multi-year deals or something like that. You can do that with him. But yeah.
Going to the assumption that Giannis is returning, you have to make things happen in the buyout market, in the free agency market, and I think DeAnthony Melton is a guy that you have potential to get for very cheap and could be someone who ends up being one of your best role players, and if not your best role player on the team, just because of the way that things operate.
Dennis
Again,
Coleman,
he has a connection with
69.
Doc Rivers,
Hello
so
there.
assuming he'd want to play in Milwaukee, he'd probably have the biggest opportunity in Milwaukee compared to a lot of the teams that might be interested in his services. But not only that, we saw the Bucks take a similar path with Gary Trent Jr. following his year with the Raptors, a bit of a down year, almost a similar year, although Melton's because of injury, Gary's was just because of lack of performance. And they got Gary Trent Jr. on the veterans minimum. Now, if you were able to do that for DeAnthony Melton, maybe you can get from Melton what you kind of expected to get from Gary Trent Jr. Didn't necessarily work out for Gary as well as we would have liked. But Melton is a better defender, arguably a better player. But again, that depends. Gary Trent Jr.'s had.
Okay, there were some games that Gary Trent Jr. had that he had like 4 or 5 steals. Kind of like the same thing with like Taurean Prince, but like I said, I don't know. It's just like Taurean Prince, stocks went down. Let's just say that, towards the end of the season and playoffs. So that kind of sucks. User 368-5275-0782. Hello there. Welcome to the page. Well, you might have said live. Yeah, I need to say that. Just say live.
He's had some better seasons. But in his prime, especially with Memphis, like he was a bench player, he was a starter at times. He had his best season under Doc Rivers in 2022 in Philadelphia. Arguably his best season. He started 58 games. The year before that, he was a 6th man of the year finals. Like he's a very solid contributor and someone that no one's really talking about. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on him. Do you think that this would be a player that would fit well alongside Giannis? Of course, at this point, we're running with the assumption that Giannis is returning, and if that is the case, you're going to need role players like this. And speaking of role players, another former Sixer and former Doc Rivers player, Matisse Thybulle, who was one of the league's.
Yeah, I heard about him, but and he's like more like a wing, I believe. And it's like we don't need any more wings. We got that. It just okay, so I forgot what team he's on, so maybe they'll explain that. So
These best defenders, but again, he can't really shoot the ball. It's pretty bad offensively. But he has a player option for the upcoming season. If he opts out, he could be an ideal fit for the Bucks.
oh yeah, if he's not good offensively, then might as well pass, because you gotta. For the Bucks, they're gonna want players that can do both, like defend and can have good offense. So otherwise, it's like another Andre Jackson Jr. And I think a player like Andre Jackson Jr. like is enough. So I don't see it.
Bucks, a team that's lacked a point of attack defender since trading away Drew Holiday.
Okay, he was 6'5" wing, and plus, like I said,
$14.99 a month
with
for a
these,
streaming app, and
freaking
$9.99 a month for a music app, and $12.99 for a fitness.
This one is a bit less intriguing to me. He's obviously, we know how good he is at defense. He's one of the
Oh, he
best
was all
defenders
defense
in the
second
last
team
decade, but he can't score
in 2020,
offensively, so that's why
2021.
he doesn't get much run. He can't shoot the ball, he can't create, he can't pass, he can't really rebound. He played under Rivers from 2020 to 2023, but struggled to earn consistent playing time due to his offensive limitations.
Yep.
He's just not a very good offensive player. He shares a connection with Lillard from their half season together in Portland, and could provide Milwaukee with a versatile, switchable defender.
Now, Shoshia Jordan, hey, what's up?
These are the type of players that the Bucks are probably going to have to go for if they want to make a semi-competitive roster if Giannis returns. And I mean, the Bucks don't have future assets to trade. They don't have any prospects. They gave up A.J. Johnson in the Kuzma trade. They gave up all their valuable young pieces. You have A.J. Green, you have Ryan Rollins, some guys like that.
They still have some good pieces left. It's like one of those things, I'm sick and tired of saying, okay, Bucks don't have that much moving room. Yes, they do. Although they don't have, much when it comes to like draft picks, but things can happen. So it's just some people just seem like they just don't believe in that.
You have no hope. Torian Prince and these guys can be very effective contributors, and then you bring in guys like Melton or to the lower scale like Matisse Thybulle and hope that they have breakout years. Because if they bring back Giannis, which is, depending on what side of the fence you are, is either the right decision or the wrong decision in your beliefs, they need to go out and they need to strike on some diamond in the rough. They need to find a hidden gem that's going to be able to propel them.
Exactly.
Is that going to be DeAnthony Melton? I think there could be a good chance of that. Matisse Thybulle, I think it's a lot less likely. We've seen what he can do offensively. Like, he hasn't had years like DeAnthony Melton. He hasn't had that 1 year where he put up 15 points a game. Because if Matisse Thybulle could put up 10, 15 points a game, he's so good at defense, he would fit in any team. And there's a reason that teams do not want him on their roster, really, or that he's not getting a lot of playing time. It's because of his shooting. You can see there in the middle paragraph, he shot 36.8% from three across 2.5 seasons, a significant jump from 31.1% he shot in Philly under Rivers. So it's interesting, 6'5", all defensive second team in 2020, 2021, the COVID year in the bubble. He was very good then. That was probably his best season in his career. He used to make those vlogs on YouTube from the bubble. So a likable guy, a likable player, but I prefer DeAnthony Melton, and I think he could be a big asset going forward for this team. But let me know down below your thoughts, or we'll keep you updated with all the latest news. You guys, peace. Thank you guys well.
Okay, so maybe DeAnthony Melton, but the other guy they mentioned, maybe not, but I think you can have like your defensive players. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't work. So I don't know. It's just one of those things I just wouldn't try. But that's my opinion, and of course, we had to listen to Bears Bucks breakdown, so we're gonna listen to that. So of course, he hates Kyle Kuzma with a passion, and as you can see in the screen already for people that are watching the pre-recorded, Kuzma for Porzingis. He made Porzingis, so I don't know why he's calling him GOAT. But anyways, I was kind of fighting for the Bucks, to pick Porzingis up, but they just never did, and kind of sucks at the same time. But I know Porzingis, I think he's like 30 now, and maybe have a few maybe good years left before it's starting to decline. But let's just listen to what Bear had to say, which probably ain't gonna be good anyway. So
we've already talked about how at this point it seems like pretty much a foregone conclusion. Brokeback Mountain is going to be leaving the Bucks finally this offseason. They're going to let him go, and he's going to go to a team that's desperate for a center and already an old team like the Lakers or like the Warriors. And so today, a little something that came out on the timeline made me think about a possible Brook Lopez replacement for next year, and that is Kristaps Porzingis, who was coming off a disaster year with some weird illness that was holding him back, and it was...
And I know the Boston said, they may try to shed some things because I think they're in the second apron as well. So I think, they trying to, make some moves, maybe give rid of Drew Holiday and Porzingis. And plus, try to get some help. Because with Jason Tatum going to be out maybe most or all the next season, Jaylen Brown is going to need some help. But how can Porzingis, they can match, a 30, nearly $31 million contract compared to what his idea is to trade Kuzma for because Kuzma's like 22.4 million for the next, few years. Sometimes, I don't get his mind. I really don't. But let's go on.
It was really ugly in the playoffs with him. And so with that, it's reported that realistically the Celtics are going to be looking to get off of his contract so they can get out under the second apron, especially knowing that Jason Tatum has a torn Achilles. And for them to have to do that, or for them to be able to do that, they're going to have to give up a draft pick just to be able to do that. And so that made me think of the way the Bucks could get involved and make this a potential win-win for both sides, where the Celtics don't have to give up.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to read y'all that's watching live. I'm going to read y'all, the trade proposal that he put up. Unless he had that other guy, I forgot what his name is, that put this up. So, otherwise, I'm glad, he's finally using Fanspo for, like, accurate trades. So, yeah. He got, the Bucks getting Kristaps Porzingis, although he has $30.7 million left, in his contract. And, so they send, to the, who they sent it from the Celtics, which is Kyle Kuzma. Obvious that he will do that. So I don't know why he would think, that would be a win-win situation. I think he's thinking probably because, the Celtics, they want to get under, get out of the second apron, which is one thing, but how's that going to help the Celtics problems? Like, maybe, Jaden Brown could be, put him as a shooting guard, and if they do, move like Kyle Kuzma. And they adding Chris Livingston into here, which I don't agree with. And I think that's probably a 2031, could be a second round pick, but if it was a first round pick, they put this, I'm surprised. So they saying with Porzingis, can't see how many wins they get, but you see, offensively, it'll be way better, and their defense will be good too. But here's the problem: Kristaps Porzingis sometimes get hurt, kind of like injury prone in a way. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Of one of their picks, and that is by giving them
second round pick. And which, it seems like, it's going to make the Celtics worse. So, why would the Celtics, would do that? Although, they be, like, getting, like, get rid of $6 million with this trade. And with Bucks, getting, they're adding, like, $6 million, which ain't that big of a deal. Because they would still have, what's that about? Because, like, without signing Lopez, there will be, I think it was $23 million, off the books, and maybe they do sign that, and let's see, 17 million left for them to spend, and plus them other mid-level sections and stuff like that we explained. So that's possible, but I know the Bucks would be okay if they end up doing a deal like this, but why try to get rid of your good player in Chris Livingston? And like I said, this coming season, wherever they keep Kuzma or they don't, he's gonna have a breakout year. This coming season, I have a feeling that he will.
Kyle Kuzma, and we will actually be willing to throw you a pick, Boston Celtics, if you would like to take on our Kuzma contract. Because for the Celtics, this right here gets you under the second apron and gets you cheaper. But we also do recognize that Kyle Kuzma is a disaster. and his contract is a year longer. So rather than you having to throw us a pick the way you'd have to probably to the
Oh,
Nets, you maybe would have to
2 years.
throw them a
Okay.
couple picks just to salary dump Kristaps Porzingis. And rather than having to give up any capital, we'll even throw you a little second round pick, just a little sprinkle of something to make you happy.
Oh, wait.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Okay,
Now for the
wait. Okay, I should have looked at that funny. So they saying the Bucks should get rid of the 2031 second round pick. So that's what he's saying. I don't even think they would take that. Porzingis just won the championship with the Celtics last season. Not this past season, but the season before. But I'm most likely gonna say, if it comes desperate and it gets almost very close to getting into the preseason, the Celtics will probably do a desperate move and probably will do something like that. But I just don't see it. My opinion, give Kuzma a chance and creep. You keep your future with Chris Livingston. So I don't even get that. Like I said, I don't get some of these young generation. What you want to call them, Gen Y. I wouldn't say all of Gen Y or Gen Z or wherever they call them. But some of them you just can't understand. And at the same time, it's ugh, really make me want to throw up.
Celtics, I'm still not sure if they'd be even willing to do this.
They're not.
Knowing that pretty much their entire roster has been not only just they've been a solid front office and not making dumb moves, not taking on bad players, but particularly in not taking on guys that can't shoot a three. And so, with the idea that they're going to be trading Drew Holiday, just moving a little bit under the second apron in this deal, I'm not sure if it would be worth it for them. But there is the possibility that the Celtics are going further than you think. If they are still trying to stay afloat next season and, they don't...
Yeah, and Celtics also got, their draft picks this year, so I don't know, maybe they find a diamond in the rough with that late first round pick and late second round pick. Then perhaps, but I just don't see this trade actually happening. It's some of the trades I try to do, I don't see none of them happening. But crazy things happen, so but most likely I do not see this happening.
They probably wouldn't want to do this because most of the trades I've seen, you'd think, the Celtics are going to be competitive with Jaylen Brown, and they're just going to try and get cheaper with Drew Holiday and Porzingis being moved off of, knowing that Tatum has a torn Achilles.
It's like we told Celtic fans, although they won with had the championship won it with Drew Holiday in his first season there with the Celtics. We told him you can't rely on Drew Holiday to be that third option, because the same thing, his last season with the Bucks, although he made it to the All-Star game, but still, it's getting older and it seems like it's not enough. Still good defensive player, but his offense is it's not getting great as it was once before. So we try to warn the Celtics, and they're thinking we'll be okay. We're going to do back to back. So yeah, kind of shot you down right there, Celtics fans. We warned you.
There is a possibility for the Celtics that there's been a little bit of rumblings. Maybe they go full in and just say, you know what, we're going to take this year to tank. And they maybe even would be willing to trade Jaylen Brown. And in that circumstance, I could definitely see them.
Jaylen Brown? I seriously doubted that they will trade Jaylen Brown. I seriously doubt it. No, I don't see that happening either. He's going to be one of the franchise players, and plus he's a NBA Finals MVP. No, they're not going to get rid of Jaylen Brown. probably like he gets a little bit older. I think he's like in his mid to late 20s, I believe. So still okay. Like same thing, with Jason Tatum, like late 20s as well. So they still young. They can still do something with them. So like I said, probably Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is going to be the only ones that's going to be untouchable. And I got a feeling that Al Horford may just end up retiring. So maybe they'll be on the path. Not. I think they're not planning on trying to get younger, but it may be in the cards for them without them even knowing it. Because it does happen.
End up saying, we'll take on Kyle Kuzma. He's just going to help us tank. And then rather than having to give up picks for Porzingis, we get to get another pick. And so there's a world where the Celtics do this. And then they trade Kuzma next offseason or something like that. And for the Bucks, I think that if there is a chance that the Celtics would do this, which they might, even if they're not going full tank mode, just to be able to get an asset back off of Porzingis. For the Bucks, there's two scenarios with the Porzingis trade. There's one where this illness is something that he's not able to overcome. They can't figure it out. I had something similar where I just changed my diet and I got back normal after like a month of some similar stuff. So I'm assuming this offseason he'll figure it out and he'll get right. But if he doesn't, okay, well then you have 1 year of a bad contract and a guy that you're probably just not going to play because he's just out of it and he's just not healthy. And so in that scenario, you have a guy that's either just not available, that's just not going to be out there, or you're going to get it back to normal and you're going to actually get a really good player. Porzingis...
You're making sense, but still, this nonsense you got like here...
when he's healthy, is a very good player. The problem with him is his whole career, he's not healthy the vast majority of the time.
Exactly.
And so you're at least getting a guy that, when he is right, is good. And you're getting off of a guy that, A, Kyle Kuzma has a longer contract, and B, there's just no version of him that's a good...
I say this again about Kuzma's contract. So he's going to be making $22.4 million this coming season. Then the season after that, it will be down. I think it goes down to $20 million. So the Boston do that. Their salary cap and stuff. Will go down, and all depends. And though I'm not giving up, my future Chris Livingston and Kyle Kuzma just to please some people like Barrett, or just to, I just wouldn't do it. Although, they said, it will help the Bucks more. But, no. You can kiss my grits.
It's a good player. He's just a terrible player. And so you're getting off of a worse player in Kyle Kuzma, and you're getting off of a guy...
Worst player in Kyle Kuzma, yeah, he's one of the worst players, but he's not the worst player in the league. So, I don't know. I think, he's still upset, with the Chris Middleton trade. So that's basically what it is. He's still upset with the Chris Middleton trade and would never get over it. So, tip riding Chris Middleton, that you want to say. So,
of 2 years of a contract to where you're able to then pivot next offseason. So you have the opportunity to potentially get better this year if Porzingis gets back right. And even if you don't and Porzingis just can't get right, well then that just leaves you so much more cap space next offseason, where the following year Kuzma's gonna get paid over $20 million, where
Yes.
Porzingis will get paid nothing. So the following offseason that would open up $20 million of cap space. So this is another opportunity for the Bucks to try and unload Kuzma, to say, hey, listen, you want to get rid of Porzingis, all these other teams are going to make you throw a pick in there, maybe 2 picks. We'll give you a pick. So that's my hope right here. This is something that the Bucks should be dabbling in, making calls.
No. They're not going to do that. They're better off, because I know they're probably going to end up needing a center, because they ain't going to resign Brook Lopez. Like I said, you can probably get like someone that's cheaper for being, your starting center. Or, like I said, there's available centers in the draft that predicted that the Bucks probably would get. Like I said, with Hanson Yang, and it was another player that I'll talk about in another video. From Kirkland, I see him right here on the screen, and because I guess they, Lock On Bucks will talk about, their draft preview. So, he is one of the guys, I hope, they do get. Of course, they showed like Handsome Yang. I mean, yeah, Handsome Yang. So it's like, the player from Creedon, a 7-footer himself, and because, they do got to get younger, and they got to, try to get like people that can run and keep up with Giannis. But I just don't. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I really don't. Could it be possible? Yeah, but I would seriously doubt it. If the Celtics actually, do this, or the Bucks either make an attempt to do it. I just don't see it. Unless they ain't bringing back Giannis. They'll probably would just they can do it then, but have Chris Porzingis. You have him at the starting power forward, then get your center in the draft. And you have like 2 7-footers that can run and dunk and shoot and kind of defend. So you can do it that way. But like I said, most likely I'm not going to see it. So you can take what this guy's mind in with a grain of salt, because I think it's just his head is just full of salt anyway. So
calls in, don't get too desperate, but if you could get rid of Kyle Kuzma and you could get a guy that A, has an expiring contract, and B, has the potential to be a good piece for you, if he's right, he fits, he's a better version of Brook Lopez, I think right now is a great time to try and buy low on a guy that has a chance to work out, and if he doesn't, oh well, that's 1 year of a bad deal after giving up a guy that's on a 2-year bad deal.
Like I said, the guy can kiss my grits and no. So, we know the draft is coming up in a few weeks, and like I mentioned earlier, the Bucks can, buy a second round draft pick. They could, but they probably can't make it official until, or actually sign that pick until, July 6th. So it's probably one of the things, they could be working on, especially, you got the Summer League next month as well, in like mid-July, I believe. So you can see, how, rookies and veterans, come up with, and, that can, happen. So maybe, they can focus on that. I'm a little bit excited about, the draft, because, the Bucks can, sneak in and take, like, they already have like 1 second round pick, but they can actually, can buy another second round pick. So, it can be done, and could be some things, they could be surprising. So, they can throw like, they can do cash considerations, or if they decide, we'll give you this person in cash for your pick. They can do that, and they'll you can probably make this idiot happy. That if you want to add like Kyle Kuzma into the mix. So yeah, I guess they will make this idiot happy. So young jerk. But anyways, it seems like I ended up winning longer than planned. So for some places it's like almost an hour and a half, and there's a few videos I need to watch before I go to bed. So, guys, I appreciate you guys watching, this special live, Monday Bucks Day, as I call it. So, so hopefully, some stuff that were explained, you can understand, what the Bucks can do and cannot do, this off season, which is a little bit more better than, what they could have did, if they were in the second apron. So, and plus, they did these aprons because, that Damian Lillard move that they did. And, some, the NBPA were like whining and complaining about it, and just like, you know what, if you was that good of a player and you go to a team that, you know, you have like the best player in the NBA in, you will do the same thing. So it's, you know, just these players just getting like crying and stuff like that. And yeah, and one of them is also the person that is the head of the NBPA, which is CJ McCollum. It was Chris Paul at one point was the head of it, but not anymore. So they just gave it to CJ McCollum, and after all that, he was complaining, and just sad. You know, what more can you do? So, anyways, you know, y'all can comment below if y'all watching the pre-recorded episode. Just let me know what y'all think. So you can do that. Thank you guys for watching on, you know, TikTok for the live. I don't know when the next time we're gonna end up going live, so only time will tell. So, but if you're watching through YouTube, like wherever comes up, you know, news wise, it will be on YouTube. So not only, you know, you can, you know, be on, you know, follow us on TikTok, well, follow my personal page on TikTok, and also you guys that's watching on YouTube, not YouTube, but Facebook, you know, check us out, you know, on WFSO Radio Network. We will have, you know, live videos like this, and also some pre-recorded videos as well, so you guys can get to check that out. Thank you guys for Twitch, and thanks for hanging on, although, you know, the WFSO 2 part was, you know, going on and off, and it was something, you know, not in our control, and especially for the people that are watching through Facebook, we apologize. So on Twitch, guys that's watching, appreciate it, and also, you know, share the channel. After you guys on YouTube, share the channel, and you guys, you know, that's on my personal page on TikTok, or watching from WFSO Radio Network on Facebook, you know, spread the love, share the channel. We need more viewers, so, you know, because I would like to hear, you know, people's opinions on this. So I think it'd be a good chat. Maybe one day we'll probably do a live show, and people, they just want to chat about, you know, oh, excuse me, about that, they can. Anyways, let me just get out of TikTok. So for the ones that's watching on TikTok, we will see you later. I think the next video will probably be done. Will be I think it'll be like a special video that we're gonna do tomorrow. So you guys on TikTok will end up seeing it. So yeah, so let me click out of here for them, and see you guys later. Until then. New achieve lock. Go live for 70 hours. Oh, that's great. Oh, wow. That's cool. Have more viewers than we did yesterday. So, that's good news. Although, I'm trying to X out. But then again, you know, I turned into some of you people and actually got like an iPhone. Which is still, you know, still taking some getting used to. Okay, there we go. You guys on Twitch, like I said, you know, share the channel, and please, you know, let people know that we're, you know, doing like videos like this, talk about, you know, Bucks content, also, you know, wrestling content, Milwaukee development content, and also we talk about comic book movies and TV news. So yeah, so you guys have an opportunity, you know, to, you know, share the wealth. Well, share the channel at least. But anyways, until next video for you guys that's on Twitch, see you later. Oh yeah, and perfect timing too, because this was about to die. So goodbye to WFSO 2, and also goodbye to you guys that's watching on WFSO 1. So I appreciate it. See you later. Okay, let's get out of that. Let that phone rest, and kind of sucks that I can't get out of there, but like I said, Facebook, you know, appreciate y'all, you know, watching. Until next time, I might do like a special that'll be exclusively for you guys on Facebook, but it's like one of those wait and see. So, keep, liking the WFSO Radio Network channel. Well, page, I should say. I don't know channel, but I just say page. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys. If we can, there we go. If you guys on YouTube, either live or pre-recorded, you guys know what to do. Like the video, and I appreciate the likes that I got today for the live, and also, share the let people know about this too. So all the content that we talk about. So show that, and plus for like YouTube, we got over 2,700 videos and 16 years of doing WFSO, and it's always been a blast. And although you got some people that can ruin it for you, but still, but overall, yeah, I have a blast. I think there's one more thing I need to say, but yeah, I know what it is. Check out the website wrestlingfanspeakout.weebly.com for upcoming events. With events that's going on in the Midwest, meet and greets that's going on in the Midwest, and also photos that we took. Wrestling events, Bucks events, and all that good stuff. So get a chance, check us out. Thanks to our sponsors, Mike and Robin Thompson, and also thank to Midwest Wrestling Collectibles. You can check them out on Facebook if you're looking for like wrestling merch, like VHS, DVDs, and also figures. So get a chance, check them out. And of course, it's Pride Month, and also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So be nice to people, check on your people, and all that good stuff. So man up, woman up, face up. So until the next video, you guys have a good one, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. So see you later.